Okay. The YouTube stream should be up. Are we 5x5 over there on YouTube? Just let me know, guys. We have an AOS. All right, cool. I am simulcasting this Twitch stream onto YouTube. I do not simulcast NSF because NSF broadcasts on YouTube primarily, and because I work for them, it's conflict of interest. So I'm not going to do that. But now that we're on the SpaceX coverage away from our buddies over at NSF, we're going to simulcast it. So I got it over there on YouTube. We got it here on Twitch. It's a party. Let's go. Right now, we're sitting at about 37 minutes, give or take, out from a launch.
This is space. I'm in space.
More cowbell. Gotta have more cowbell, baby. I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell. Guess what? I got a fever. I want you to explore the space. Explore the space. Yes, I have this here. You don't need to know why.
This is space. I'm in space.
Pokey gifted 5. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. How do you have a cowbell? I told you. None of your business. Mind your own business. Sorry, I'm just keeping the blood flowing, man. I haven't slept in like a day and a half. Nah, I'm good, Creation. I don't need to lose brain cells today. I'll have no cattle. I'm from the city, Blue. What the hell you want from me? What is the mission objective here? So, Spam, this is a test flight, okay? This is a test flight. And the big goal here is to basically, for SpaceX to be able to test that they can catch the booster. The booster can come back and land and be caught by the launch pad. Yes, that's a sentence that was just said. And also, SpaceX is looking to do some optimizations on their thermal protection system. They're trying to make sure the tiles are working well on Starship. And also, the big change between Flight 5 and 6 here is that they're going to attempt to do a deorbit burn with Starship here while it's on a suborbital trajectory. So they're basically going to test to see if they can fire the engines in space after shutting them off. Hey, Karina, how are you? Alex, we're here. Fusion core dance. Andrew, I've seen it, yep. They're trying to do this again. They're going to try to do this again. That was about a month ago. They're going to try to do it again.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
No problem, Rockets. See, and we're hopefully going to get a daytime image of Starship landing over near Australia.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 6th flight test of Starship. It is currently 3:25 p.m. Central Time at Starbase, Texas, and it has been just 40 days since our last launch of the world's biggest rocket. We're targeting our first afternoon Starship liftoff just 34 minutes from now, and that will occur at 4 p.m. Central Time. Now, this timing...
Shy Squid, what is the best way to get into the space industry? Apply for a job. Apply for a job. It's a bananas industry to work in, apparently.
And I'm Jesse Anderson, a Senior Structures Engineering Manager, and we are joining you live from SpaceX Hawthorne. On Flight 5, we promised you maximum excitement, and Starship delivered in what had to be one of the most memorable moments in my time here at SpaceX.
Same.
Like so many of you, we were in utter shock as we watched that historic booster catch unfold, and we're back today to try and do it all over again. As Kate mentioned, it's been just over a month since Flight 5, making this our quickest turnaround yet between Starship flight tests. Our ultimate goal is to get that turnaround time down to hours.
Following Flight 5, the SpaceX team went to work, immediately implementing lessons learned into the vehicle and tower's hardware and software systems for Flight 6. This is what rapid iteration looks like. We gather real data from these test flights and turn around and fly again as soon as possible. This is the process that is bringing us the rapidly reusable Starship that will soon be taking us to the Moon and Mars.
Flight 5 proved that we can safely bring the booster back to the launch tower, which is a key factor in driving rapid reusability, and land ship with a high-precision splashdown in the Indian Ocean. We'll be taking you through today's test objectives in just a moment, but first, let's check in with Dan, who is on the ground just a few miles from the pad at Starbase with the best views. How's it going, Dan?
Hey, Jesse, it's going fantastic. I got a couple hundred of my best friends out here ready to watch this launch and hopefully another catch today. But welcome everybody back to Starbase for another Starship launch. I'm Dan Hewitt. Got Launch Control Center right behind me, tower just about 6 miles over that shoulder. It has been a pretty quiet countdown. Not a lot of chatter on the loops right now as we are into prop load, and we are counting down to the very top of our window at 4 p.m. Central Time, so just about 32 minutes from now.
That answer your question,
right
Sean?
now, the range is projected to be clear by then. We've got our assets out there making sure land, air, sea, everything around the launch pad and then our flight path are clear before we give the final go to liftoff today. We got through the weather poll. Everything was looking great. A little breezy today, but well within our constraints for both launch and catch criteria. And as you can tell, we're loading propellant onboard the vehicle. You can see those white frost lines starting to tick up as we're putting the cryogenic, the liquid methane, and liquid oxygen out to both of those vehicles. The ship prop load started at about T-minus 49 minutes, and then the booster followed just a couple minutes after at about T-minus 41. We're almost halfway full on ship, just about a third on booster. Those are both going to continue until we're about 3 minutes, 20 seconds before liftoff on ship. And then the booster is going to close out at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So we pretty much we're loading up right to that last possible minute, keeping it as dense and cold as possible, and then getting off the launch pad. The countdown startup sequence, everything will look very familiar if you watched Flight 5, assuming you did. But you're going to see the engines start to ignite at about 3 seconds before liftoff. They're going to start up in 3 different groups. First, those center 13, then 15 of that outer ring, and then those final 5, bringing all 33 Raptors online.
Username has that helicopter from IFT5 appeared again? Yeah, the helicopter is doing range security. Username. Yeah, it's doing range security. We looked into it.
Last-minute issues to clear.
And by that I mean Alex did because he's a legend.
The vehicle, and if we pass T-minus 10 seconds, the deflector fires, and then we scrub, then we're done for the day for at least 24 hours. But weather is fantastic. Light breeze, no clouds in the sky. Not tracking any hardware constraints to launch today. If we're not able to get off the pad, though, we've got opportunities throughout the week. Could be 24 to 48 hours later. But everything looking great. I'm excited to be able to see another one of these get off the pad. Check back in with everybody in just a couple of minutes. Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Now, you could see those 2 towers in the back there in the distance at Starbase. Starbase is really coming along just as rapidly as Starship itself. That second launch tower will be coming online next year, and it will allow us to increase our flight cadence and test even more frequently. And just a few kilometers away from the 2 towers, our cutting-edge 1 million square foot Star Factory is nearing completion with the goal of producing hundreds of ships a year.
Yeah, that might sound crazy, and that's because it is. If you can imagine a future where we are flying and catching a fleet of boosters, which is the lower portion of the vehicle, that fleet is actually pretty small compared to the potentially hundreds of ships, the uppermost portion of Starship, that will be flying in that future vision.
Yeah, exactly, Kate. Those ships will be staying in space for long-duration missions to go to the moon or Mars, or become tankers for refueling, or any number of other uses. But the boosters will come back and turn around to launch the next ship. So in order to hit that production cadence of hundreds per year, we're rapidly building out Star Factory, which is our Starship production facility in Texas.
And views of that Star Factory there.
This
place allows us to move system integration work earlier in the build process, which means more efficiency, higher quality, and ultimately faster production. Starbase is an incredible place to be right now. There really is nowhere else in the world like it. You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Now, what she might be hinting at is the good news is we are hiring. If you love what you're seeing, check out our openings at Starbase. On the engineering side, we're looking for vehicle design engineers across structures, propulsion, and integration.
And if you're a hands-on tech, we're looking for integration technicians and welders that can help us hit our goal of building a Starship every 8 hours. And to do that, we need builders.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need a lot of builders to get that down to just 8 hours.
Right? Now, beyond that, in order to keep Starbase growing, we have all kinds of roles, from baristas to HVAC technicians to EMTs. So chances are, if you're looking, we have a place for you. Visit spacex.com/careers to see all of our openings.
Every role is critical to the future of Starship. With Starbase growing faster than ever, we can't do it without you.
This place is where our future is being built, and that is a future that we are all very excited about. All right, let's dive deeper into the inner workings of Starship and learn more about this flying skyscraper.
Starship features two major parts, the ship, which has 6 Raptor engines, and the Super Heavy booster, which has 33 Raptor engines. Now, just like flights 1 through 5, the current iteration of Starship is an experimental vehicle flying for development. And with a few planned upgrades, Starship will have 3 times the thrust of Saturn V at 10,000 metric tons of thrust, plus the added benefit of full reusability. Starship 2 will be capable of carrying more than 100 tons to orbit, and Starship 3 will be able to lift more than 200 tons to orbit. Now, the amount of mass we're able to launch per rocket is crucial to creating a self-sustaining city on Mars.
Exactly. And speaking of launch mass, we should probably acknowledge the elephant, banana in the room, and our today's secret payload.
Okay, so 2 things here. The first is, remember on Flight 5, we had a giant Mechazilla decal where the banana is today.
Go at throttle up.
And there you can see that on your screen. Now, that decal is 3 feet tall, which might be hard to tell looking at it on the ship right there, which is why we have a full-scale reproduction of that decal
2 cups of
here
coffee
with
in
us so that you can see the size compared to humans.
Yeah, it is bigger than you think it is. Like Jesse said, it's 3 feet high, and this is full scale, just like the one that was on Flight 5. Now, it is hard to follow Mechazilla, but I do have one better. Bananas have been used for quick visual comparisons for quite some time, and our teammates thought it was time to bring the venerated yellow fruit to Starship.
Today, we're flying Starship's first ever physical payload, which is, as you might have guessed, is a banana. That's a live view inside Starship, and if you look closely, you can see our stuffed banana payload, which is doubling as today's zero gravity or zero-G indicator. And while this payload will remain inside the vehicle at all times and will not be deployed today, it did give us a chance to do a test run of payload approval processes with the FAA. And that's something that we're hoping to do next year if we start flying our first Starlink satellites on Starship.
Don't worry, guys. They are not deploying the banana today. That's what they're trying to tell you.
You can see on your screen a Starlink Mini next to a banana for scale. And to get an even better sense of how big Starship is, let's take the average size banana next to the average size human, which is about 2 meters high. Towering over our average human is the length of the Millennium Falcon, which comes in at 35 meters. Our Falcon 9 rocket with the payload fairing attached is double the size of the Millennium Falcon at 70 meters, and nearly twice the size of that is the fully integrated Starship at 121 meters tall. The ship is about 50 meters, and the Super Heavy booster alone stands 71 meters tall. And we do have plans to make the ship and booster even taller in the future.
And yeah, it might be hard to imagine that because it's pretty big already. Now, Starship's first stage has a diameter roughly 2.5 times that of Falcon 9, and as you can see on your screen, with 33 much larger Raptor engines. I love this view. This is looking up at the aft end of Starship there at the engine bay. Now, moving up the rocket, the ship features 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea levels, and 3 vacuum engines, which are optimized to operate in the vacuum of space. The ship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface, like the surface of the moon, for example. This ship is also outfitted with 4 flaps to help aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight and enable a precision landing.
To reach full reusability, the ship must survive re-entry not just once, but multiple times. It took the teams at SpaceX about 3 years to develop the heat shield on Starship, and development for improvements is still ongoing.
The numbers that were on the engines are the engine number correlative to position on the booster. They're not the serial numbers. The serial numbers are on the nozzles, guys. Those the numbers that say like E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, those are referring to engine position on Super Heavy, not serial number.
Refurbishment between flights to unlock rapid.
Also, they're launching a banana.
Begun testing the heat shield tiles in environments simulating Mars atmospheric entry conditions, which we'll see more of in just a few minutes. You know, slightly different than coming back to Earth.
Just slightly different. And in between the first and second stages is our hot stage, which we saw in action on flights 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's recap that last flight to understand what we accomplished and how that's changing for today's flight.
Yes. Let's recap.
On October 13th, Starship successfully lifted off at 7:25 a.m. Central Time from Starbase, Texas. A gorgeous sunrise ascent that was fairly quickly followed by the hot stage separation maneuver, which we see here, as well as on multiple previous Starship flights. The booster then performed a flip maneuver, boost back burn, and then we jettisoned that hot stage, which you see there. The booster then performed its boost back burn, which brought it back on a trajectory to the launch tower, back to the Gulf Coast. We can see here the booster descending through the Earth's atmosphere. It broke the sound barrier again as it was coming back through. Those Raptor engines relit, and then the moment that made us all lose our minds, the booster came back for a successful first ever catch by the chopstick arms back at the exact same launch tower that it launched from. It was insane. As you can see, we all went bananas. And you did too, probably. Thousands of distinct vehicle and pad criteria had to be met, and thanks to the tireless work of the entire Starship team, we succeeded on that first attempt.
And while that all was happening, ship was continuing to coast towards the Indian Ocean. It executed an excellent coast, made its way down through re-entry, relit its engines, did that flip maneuver, relit its engines for landing burn, and then splashed down into the Indian Ocean. Now that whole flight test concluded, that splashdown 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds after launch.
Starship's 5th flight test was one of our most ambitious yet, and as we work to demonstrate techniques fundamental to Starship and Super Heavy's fully and rapidly reusable design.
And I think I speak for all of us when I say that seeing the catch for the first time was an extraordinary moment for the entire SpaceX team. We've seen a lot of wild firsts here, but that was truly an epic moment in time.
Yeah, we're not predicting that anytime soon. Certainly one in the history books. Now, today's mission profile is very similar to Flight 5, but there are some differences that we've incorporated as we prepare for future reuse. About 20 minutes from now, Super Heavy will ignite its 33 Raptor engines and lift off from Starbase. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the booster will separate from the ship in a hot stage separation, and we've seen that occur on multiple flights, including Flight 2, 3, 4, and 5. About 2 seconds after that burns, we'll jettison that hot stage. The booster will perform its flip and boost back maneuver. And we will once again look to return the booster to the launch site for a catch by the tower's chopstick arms. And once again, we will only attempt that if both the booster and tower are healthy after launch. We were successful last time, but we should emphasize that this process is still very new. And this is still just a test, so success is very far from guaranteed today. There's always a possibility that we'll lose the vehicle. It's a contingency that we always plan for.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while the booster is doing its job, the ship's 6 engines will remain lit for a few minutes before shutting down and then going into the coast phase. The ship will coast for a total of about 40 minutes or so, reaching a peak altitude of approximately 213 kilometers. Now, one additional objective for this flight during coast is an in-space burn using one of ship's Raptor engines. Doing a burn while in space will build confidence that we can do deorbit burns, which is a key capability for upcoming orbital missions. Now, after the coast phase, the ship will attempt a controlled re-entry, and if ship makes it all the way down, we'll once again perform a flip and landing burn before splashing down in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. Now, there are some notable changes to our entry plans for this flight, and they will intentionally push the ship to and very likely beyond its limits. This includes several thermal protection upgrades and operational changes as we prepare for future ship catch and reuse. Today's flight test will also test new secondary thermal protection materials, and entire sections of the heat shield has actually been removed in certain areas.
Same size as
And
what,
on top of all of that, we're going to fly the ship at an aggressive angle of attack once it's moving slower than the speed of sound.
Now, this means we'll be flying nose down instead of our usual belly flop orientation during final descent. This will no doubt stress the limits of the flap's ability to maintain control, but it will be a chance to get real flight data on what our limits actually are.
Dark, for the most part.
To put it as bluntly as possible, do not be surprised if this is not a smooth flight to Splashdown today. We are intentionally looking for how far we can push and discover the vehicle's true limits as we plan for future ship return and catch.
And even though ship recovery is not expected today,
That means
the
at the
telemetry
last
and
second it's
data
gonna be
we
like
receive
this,
all
and
the
then
way to
flip
the
around
end
and
is what
land.
we're looking for and what will help us get to a rapidly reusable Starship of the future.
Now, just like Flight 5, one of our objectives for Flight 6 is attempting to return the booster to the launch site to be caught by the tower. The booster for this flight has upgrades to add redundancy across its propulsion system, increase the structural, as well as increasing the structural strength in a few spots. We've also implemented a few changes across both ship and tower to try and speed up the post-catch timeline. Returning vehicles to the launch site leverages the same hardware that we use for stacking ahead of flight, making our infrastructure multi-purpose. And in order for us to achieve that rapid reusability that we keep talking about, we need a quick turnaround. And you can't get much faster than returning the launch vehicle right back there to where it needs to launch from again.
Exactly. In this video, you can see our original render of booster catch alongside the actual footage of catch from Flight 5. This video is just mind-blowing to see the predicted versus reality.
Figure out where the
just
booster
like the last
fails,
flight
or
for
the ship
today's
fails.
booster catch, there are thousands of criteria that need to be met in order to proceed with catch. Automated checks have to indicate we have a healthy booster and a healthy tower, and the flight director must issue a manual command which is informed by manual checks from the flight control team. If this command is not sent prior to the completion of the boost back burn, or if automated health checks show unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy or the tower, the booster will default to a trajectory that takes it to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
I remember when we first heard the call out that tower was going.
How long does it take to ready a recovered booster for its next launch? Don't know, Cornholio. They haven't gotten that far yet. They got one back. I'm pretty sure not even SpaceX knows what it takes to put that thing back on the pad and get it ready to go again. You got to find out. And you can find that out easier by landing more boosters. You know?
Area around the pad and the flight path are cleared in advance.
A lot of things have to go right in order to line up the booster catch. So if all criteria is met, we will attempt to catch, but there is a chance that we may not. Either way, we'll be getting tons of in-flight data, which is extremely valuable.
Exactly. That first catch was pretty epic, though.
What's all the white smoke on the ground? It's gaseous oxygen, Mighty Morph. Gaseous oxygen and gaseous nitrogen. Like really cold gas nitrogen and cold gas oxygen. The reason why it's just kind of a byproduct of moving the propellants into the booster. This stuff happens. You get these... the system is somewhat open loop, somewhat. So you're going to get all this condensation on the ground.
with Super Heavy coming back is it does generate a
That's
sonic
right, Nick.
boom.
Minion,
This
85.
is something commonly associated with reusable spacecraft. It's
What's the turnaround time for a Falcon booster? The Falcon that launched GSAT 20 flew previously 23 days prior. GSAT 20 was the Falcon 9 mission that launched yesterday.
thunderclap sound
Discovery,
that
go
you
and throttle
hear.
up.
Now, generally, the only effect is that thunderclap sound, but
It has
if
a
you're not
banana
expecting it,
on
it's
board,
definitely going to
Trooper.
get your attention, and we were able to hear it last time. The impact of, or how loud it is, changes pretty dramatically. And in this video, you can see as we were descending,
Love this noise.
and there was kind of that quick triple pop that you heard. Now that was picked up from closer to the pad. Most people at our distance and further away, you're only going to hear one or two as they're happening kind of so on top of each other that it might just sound like one big bang. But as I said,
Discovery,
that's
go and
something that's
throttle up.
only associated with spacecraft being reused. We hear it with Falcon 9. We heard it during Shuttle, and looking forward to hopefully hearing it today.
Bears.
Just a quick status check, though. We're
Hey,
about
Morton.
85% full on ship.
Thank you for the 100 NOK.
Almost 2/3 of the way
Appreciate it, man.
full on booster. Continuing to count down about 13 and a half minutes,
Over
a
on the
little
YouTube,
under
we
that
got
until
super
we
chats.
lift off today. But still looking good. I'll check back in with you guys in a few minutes. Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I think Dan said it really well when it really does hurt the brain to think that this is going to be the norm, that this is just
It
the
ain't the
beginning.
same, Mock.
Every one of these flights is a step closer to a fully operational Starship that will take us beyond Earth orbit. And with our pace of rapid iteration here, the Moon and Mars are not nearly as far in the future as you may think. In fact, we're planning to send
Discovery, go
Starships
and
to
throttle up.
Mars as soon as 2026.
So, yeah, you heard that right, 2026. Guys, I'm going to run ads on the Twitch side of things. I still haven't figured out how to run ads on the YouTube side of things.
Discovery, go
I'm
and
not
throttle
trying to do it to make money off of it, to be 100% honest with you. What I am doing is making it so people that aren't subbed don't get a freaking ad in the middle of the launch. Okay, so we're going to run ads here for a second. I'll see you on the other side.
2 to 3 months at a time for a vehicle with Starship's power.
Lining up a launch to Mars is similar to how we
Hey, Cal.
launched to
What's
the
going on?
International Space Station, where we timed the launches to match the station's
Monetize me,
orbit.
baby.
If we didn't do this, we would need more propellant and more time to get there.
So the first opportunity we have to fly Starships
If you
to
didn't
Mars,
get ads, well,
we
good for
plan
you.
to go for it.
3 rolls are going to be
These first
disabled
flight
then.
tests to Mars will be uncrewed and we'll test the reliability of landing intact.
this is space.
If those
I'm in
landings go
space.
well,
Jackal
the first
23.
crewed flights will
Diagonalizer
soon
with a
follow
5.
after
Thank you.
that.
Right now, our flight tests are focused on proving out reusability of both
Discovery,
Super
go and
Heavy
throttle up.
and Starship.
A lot of
In
throttling up.
2025, we'll continue that focus while also potentially flying our first Starlink missions and demonstrate capabilities central to our role
Discovery,
in taking
go and throttle up.
astronauts to the moon as part of NASA's Artemis program. Starship will be used to land astronauts on the lunar surface on NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will put the first humans on the moon since 1972.
Yeah, baby.
One key capability will be the ability to refuel Starship on orbit, which you can
Discovery,
see there on
go
your
and throttle
screen.
up.
Dude.
With a Starship prop tanker docked with a fuel depot. Next year, we're planning to test this capability by launching 2
That's
Starships and having
sick.
them meet up to transfer tons of cryogenic propellants. Now, when the time comes to land on the
I saw
moon,
it, Joe.
Starship will link
It's
up
right
with
there.
NASA's Orion spacecraft
Discovery,
in
go
lunar
and throttle
orbit,
up.
where astronauts will transfer over for their descent. Now, once on the lunar surface, they'll ride the elevator down in their Axiom EMU spacesuits from Axiom Space and leave the first footprints on the moon in more than half a century, kickstarting humanity's mission to establish a sustainable presence there.
I need it.
And coming
I
soon
need
to
it,
a moon
dude.
base alpha near you, Starship Enterprise Edition.
That is so exciting, and all the advancements that are going to come in order to enable all of that. Now, our rapid iterative development approach has been the basis for all of SpaceX's major innovative advancements, incling
Discovery,
Falcon,
go and
Dragon,
throttle up.
and Starlink. Today, we're testing hardware and systems, and we need to know how they perform under the most
That was pretty
extreme
sweet.
conditions. And what's more
Jackal,
extreme
thanks,
than
man.
the flight
This is
environment?
space. I'm in space.
We'd much
Missioner.
rather find the bugs and limits now during testing than later on when there's more on the line.
And to reiterate, while we do determine an acceptable level of technical risk
see it,
on
Mother.
our vehicle and pad to learn as fast as possible, we accept no compromises
At
when it
5
comes to
minutes,
the
drummer.
safety of the public or our team. So all that to say, this is only the 6th of
Hey,
many
Discovery,
future
go and
flight
throttle
tests
up.
of Starship
Tier
before
3,
it
thanks,
becomes
man.
fully operational.
And we tend to do our testing out in the open, just like today. And that means People sometimes see when our hardware doesn't perform
doesn't,
as we
Tango?
planned during that testing.
Am I
And
right?
that's okay, because this is exactly what we are testing for, to physically see if hardware performance matches what we expect it to do or not. Even more with today's test flight, where we're purposefully pushing the ship beyond its limits.
Starship development is also being aided by Starlink space-based connectivity. You might remember the Starlink panels that are incorporated into Starship, and you can see them there on your screen, those rectangular panels on Starship's nose cone. Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry, and also helps deliver us critical flight data engineers need to continue development.
Yeah, Starlink continues to help us push the limits in space in the short term by providing great views and real-time data on our next few flights, particularly through re-entry, which spaceflight veterans know that is historically a period of blackout for all communications within spaceflight.
Outside of Starship, Starlink has helped people
Thanks, Joe. We'll check 'em out in a
across
second.
the globe, particularly
Oh,
in rural and remote
inventing.
areas that have been underserved by traditional broadband internet.
Yeah,
My pleasure,
and
Dark Crew.
soon,
Thanks for the $10.
Starship will deploy
$10 super
our
chat over on
next-generation
YouTube.
Starlink satellites, which will continue to increase our capability to connect even more people with high-speed internet all around the world and beyond.
I'm glad you guys like
Now,
the
as we
coverage.
continue to prepare for our next several flight tests, we recently performed a cryo-proof test of the Starship for Flight 7, our first operation with a vehicle debuting a number of major milestones. The ship has been stretched to make room for larger propellant tanks, increasing the propellant capacity from 1,200 tons to 1,500 tons. The forward flaps also got a redesign. They have shrunk in size and they also shifted in location.
Discovery,
And
go at throttle
both
up.
of these things will help better protect them during entry heating while still providing control. There's also a wide range of upgrades that will make the vehicle more reliable, adding redundancy to and the ability to operate for longer durations in space.
One unique aspect of a trip to Mars are the different conditions ship will see when entering the
Hey,
Martian
Plutonium.
atmosphere.
Blast tier
It's difficult to
317. Thank
simulate
you.
Mars's
Go and throttle up.
atmosphere when re-entering on Earth, so we've been testing a variety of heat shield materials inside a specialized plasma jet chamber at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where we're able to more closely simulate
Ablation.
Mars's 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere.
Aside
Ablation.
from looking awesome, this is important testing. The intense heat of entry
Discovery,
will
go
cause
and
the
throttle up.
CO2 to
Bullet.
break down into its base elements, exposing Starship to atomic oxygen, which increases surface heating and can cause materials to oxidize or start to break down. Spacecraft entering over Mars encountered more than twice the amount of atomic oxygen at their peak when compared to Earth, and that is certainly a unique challenge. As we continue to test, we'll learn more about what makes a great heat shield for Mars.
Discovery, go at
All
throttle
right,
up.
now that we're heading into the final minutes of the countdown, let's go back to Dan for the latest
go,
on the
teams.
ground there at Starbase.
Hey, Kate, afraid I have
Discovery,
nothing
go
but
and
good
throttle up.
news for you. We have a go from our range safety team. We are a little over 90% full on ship, almost 85%.
A little bit of a different
full on
test
Discovery,
regime,
booster.
go and
Bobber.
throttle up.
They're going to
and
really
not
put that
tracking
ship
any
through its
holds to
paces
an
during
on-time
re-entry.
liftoff.
We'll
So
see what happens.
we've got about 3 more minutes of prop load. As long as the range stays clear, we don't trip any other holds. We might blow right past
Discovery,
that
go and
T-minus
throttle up.
40-second mark and lift off right at the top of our
Yeah,
window
DOS is
at
over there.
4 p.m. Central.
NSF is casting
toss it
from
back
that
to you guys
building.
one more time.
Which
But
is
fun
pretty
part
funny
about
to me.
start, we are a little under 6 minutes away from launch.
Regal.
So we are continuing to
Coffee
progress.
or whatever
now,
form
5
of
minutes
energy
and
giving
43
juice you
seconds
drink.
Until
Thank you, sir.
liftoff. Now, once we pass the T-minus
Guys,
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I love and appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. I'm shutting off the alerts so I can hear what they're saying. I thank you so much for the support. But yeah, at 5 minutes, you got 30 seconds to get your notifiers in. I'm gonna turn off the notifications here.
Moved in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly. However, once the water for the
Bill.
deflector system begins flowing at T-minus 10 seconds,
Already done here.
Go
any
and
issue
throttle up.
after that would be an automatic scrub for the day, as the teams
Okay.
will need to refill the deflector's
Tank.
water tanks,
5
as
subs,
well
thank
as
you.
the propellant storage tanks over at the tank farm before we're able to make another attempt.
Here we go.
Now, it is just so unbelievable that it's just been only a little over a month, and we are just a few minutes away
Blanket
from Flight
licensing
6.
uncapping. They got a license for Flight
The
5
crowd
and
here
6.
is building up. We've got a
At the same
much
time.
larger crowd here than when we were launching at 4 or 5 in the morning out here. So very exciting to have an afternoon launch to have all the employees here.
Exactly. Now, just as a reminder, that T-minus 40-second hold, if
T-minus 4
we,
minutes, 20 seconds.
opt to use it,
Oh, I'm
everything
ready.
is
It's gonna
still
be sick.
potentially go for launch.
I
So
love
nothing
this.
to be
I love
worried
this
about
stuff.
there.
So
At that
good,
point,
dude.
basically, up until T-minus 40 seconds, all aborts are
Adds a
just
roll.
holds. This
Yep.
would allow the team to wait for final checkouts to assess propellant levels, engines, avionics, vehicle pressurization, range, weather. Occasionally, we've had shrimp boats lingering in the past, but that doesn't sound like that is the case today.
Yeah, not today. No shrimp boats, which is great. Everything so far is looking good. We're getting really excited here. Just a few minutes away. We're going to go back, send it over to Dan
Passing.
in Starbase.
Thanks for the 20.
How's it going, Dan?
It is still going great. Just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away, so we should be done with our prop load on ship momentarily.
flight, Shock.
And
The
about
whole
30
test and
seconds
the whole
later, we'll
thing.
close out on booster. Our flight control team on board, or
Yeah,
in the
that's
building just behind
so
me,
cool.
not on board. Some of them might
So
wish they were
damn
on board.
cool.
Flight control team in the building behind me, they're going to have a lot of work to do right after we lift off. As
How
we
you
still
doing?
have a lot of manual checks that happen on the tower prior to the flight
alright.
director, who's going to be Tristan Pierce again today, giving a manual command to bring the booster back to the launch site. And the tower did just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy
Probably
for
at
a
like
catch.
90
so
or
we're
100
hoping to see that
BPM,
again
Dean.
today.
I had to
A
guess.
lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work,
There you go,
played a
Tech.
huge role in making that catch possible, and looking
That's-
forward to hopefully seeing
that's a
that happen
banana.
again.
In the payload
And
bay.
of course, sending our first payload to space. You can see the banana. It's very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around. So once we're
that fishing
in a
line?
zero gravity environment, we should see our first Starship zero gravity indicator putting on a little bit of a show. And that's looking right in. That's where we're going to have Starlinks. That's our PEZ deployer. So getting its ride to space. So coming up on about 2.5 minutes, we are closing out on all of our prop load. Just heard that our fill drains are starting to close, so that means we're no longer going to be
missed it,
flowing
Lava.
propellant
Went
into
off
the
the screen too
booster and the
fast.
ship. We're going to do what's called pushbacks.
Sounds right, Jam.
So all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks, clear out everything around the pad right before we light those 33 engines and take off. Just quick reminder, you're going to see fire start at the bottom. You're going to see the deflector start at about 10 seconds before launch. Lots of water to help dissipate all that heat, all that sound. And then the engine starting up in 3
Good job,
different
Adams.
groups. And then about a second after T0, we should see liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging.
90
And that's when we're
seconds.
going to be listening really close on those loops to see if we're going to be bringing the booster back for a catch today. Do always want to caution, it's never a guarantee. We've done this once. We'll see if we do it again. We're only going to do it if the booster and the tower are looking really good before we attempt to bring it back here. But coming up on a minute, not tracking any holds on the board right now. So as long as we don't have any last second things, which do happen.
Next hold gate is in 20 seconds.
All right, flight director just confirmed T-minus
Gotcha,
1
fact.
minute.
Thank you for the bits. Okay, we should be entering the hold gate here. If they go below 40
T
seconds,
moment to
the
look
hold
at
gate's
in
open.
10
It means we're good to
seconds,
go.
that T-minus 40.
Here we go. Inside of 40.
And we flew right through that.
Here we go. 30 seconds.
Flight directors go for launch.
Flight director reports go.
All right, we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship Flight 6. This will mark our second
15,
attempt to
14,
catch the
13,
Super Heavy booster
12,
at the
11,
launch tower.
10.
As
Sound
well as-
suppressor should turn on.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Ignition.
2, 1.
We got ignition and liftoff. Liftoff, Starship Flight 6. Vehicles cleared the tower.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Okay, everything's looking good
Booster
there.
Raptor,
Vehicle's
showing
doing
pressure
a
nominal.
roll program. T plus 40 seconds into the flight. Oh, something came off.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
Okay, good call for avionics, power, and telemetry. 50 seconds into the flight. Booster now traveling at 1,000 kilometers an hour, 7 kilometers off the deck. Should go supersonic here in a moment. Something else came off.
Vehicle
All right, we're
reached
just a little over a minute
maximum
into flight.
dynamic pressure.
We're about 6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call outs that power, telemetry nominal, that's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens. At this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q. Now coming
T
up
plus
in
90
just
seconds. Booster's now
a
traveling at
little
2,000
over a
kilometers an
minute
hour,
from now
21 kilometers off the
is
deck.
going to be hot staging. So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down. In what we call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead of main engine. And so while we continue to watch it go up, a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the
T
tower.
plus 2
Again, we
minutes.
have to send
3,400 kilometers an
a
hour,
manual
38
command.
kilometers in altitude. I saw it, AirJ. Yep.
just about 30 seconds away from hot staging.
Should be coming up here on most engine cutoff and hot staging. Hot staging is where Starship's engines will ignite while it's still attached for a momentary second while it's still attached to Super Heavy, because it's a simplified staging mechanism. The best way to get your rocket away for staging is to fire its engines.
Tower is go for catch.
Booster engine cutoff.
Most engine
The
cutoff,
return
hot
flag is
staging.
set for true.
Ship engine startup.
We have 6 good engines on Starship. Super Heavy's now going to turn around in
Stage
preparation
separation.
for a catch attempt. There it
All right,
goes!
hot staging confirmed.
Booster
6 out of
boost
6
back.
lit on the ship. Booster boost back going. We heard that we are go for catch. Kate, Jesse, take the views. Hopefully I got a booster
So awesome.
coming home real soon.
Wow, from our view here, Dan, great views of planet Earth behind that Super Heavy booster.
Every time
right now
passing,
it
that's
is
never gonna get
performing
old.
the
Ship
boost
damage
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Good news there, telling
call
us that
that on propulsion.
the pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage or the upper portion of the vehicle. Follow along with the telemetry on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, booster is currently, Super Heavy is currently in its boost back burn. This boost back
Ship
burn,
avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
Okay, there's the
this boost back
shutdown.
burn lasts just a little bit over a minute. So we've got a
See?
little,
We got a shutdown there.
approximately 30 seconds left.
We've had
Good.
a shutdown of that boost back burn. Up next will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, and then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see those grid
Hot
fins,
staging ring
Offshore
jettison.
divert.
and we can also see that the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Yes, visual confirmation of that there on your
Bye.
screen, which is great. Now the next
Starship is following a nominal trajectory.
Good call on GNC
The next
for the
step for
Starship.
booster is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines.
That's
and
what I
then,
heard, Nathan. I hope I
Tear
was
down
wrong.
to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means that we are no-go for the catch. As we said before, both the tower and the vehicle, as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return
window.
to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for
Right.
tower catch.
And we did mention that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for catch. There's a lot of things
Enjoy
that
the
need to go
ocean.
well in order to line that up. Unfortunately, today we will forego booster catch today. But what you're seeing on your screen is ship currently making its way towards the Indian Ocean, still looking good so far.
Exactly. So views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, we said before that it was not guaranteed that we would be able to make a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was pretty epic on attempt 1, but the safety of the teams and the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are accepting no compromises in any of those areas.
Exactly, and we're still going to get a lot of good flight data with booster even, but especially with ship. Again, we have an additional objective today to do.
Maybe they'll land it intact and tow it back in. Hold on.
Engine, which again will help us set us up for being able to do
the launch pad's over here somewhere.
Which is important for orbital flights. And what you're seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy as it's making its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, once again, we are attempting an offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watch, watching it come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas.
All right, still going to have a landing test.
There's
the thermal conditioning.
We saw earlier those grid fins. There are 4
There's the shock. Okay, ignition.
So we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
Come on, baby.
Same pattern, 13 engines will light, gone down to 3 just as we expected.
Come on, baby.
And what an incredible view of Splashdown that we got today. Of Super Heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure the buoy cam views will be pretty awesome once again.
Hey,
so
it looked
like
all right. Hopefully it
water landing
survived the landing.
For the Super Heavy booster. Congrats to the SpaceX team for making that milestone as well. Now, ship continues to look good.
It's intact. That booster's intact. Listen.
While all of that was happening,
the booster's intact. Let's go get it, baby. Let's go.
Continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone
or it exploded. Either one.
Is
in terminal guidance.
Great news there.
Did it pop?
Starship terminal guidance referring to.
Oh yeah, NSF has it. Yeah, it popped. Never mind. Forget I said anything.
About 8 minutes 35 seconds or so, we have ship engine cutoff.
Engine section cam
of the Raptor engines.
Oh man. Okay.
We can see on our screen ship giving us some incredible views brought to us by Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
Okay. 26,495 staging at 150.
Seco, ship engine cutoff. Great news there. Everything continuing to
purge
look
out the engines
awesome.
there. That's that flow phenomenon that you see going on there.
Full view looking aft on ship here.
Engine cam. That's awesome.
Ship FTS is saved. Nominal orbit insertion.
Good call for nominal orbit insertion. All right.
Confirmation of good orbital insertion for ship today.
It has been a very exciting afternoon so far. We'd like to send it back over to Dan, who can give us that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Yeah, totally fine. You guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see it lift off 33 out of 33. Didn't go for the booster catch today. Initially, we were good, and then we tripped a commit criteria and did the offshore divert. So we went and did that water landing, as everybody saw. We'll dig into it a little bit more, but again, we've done it once, we've now done it twice. We're going to keep trying to do it, as this is just a core capability of Starship and what's going to make it so incredible. There's a lot left. We're just about almost 10 minutes into this flight, so about 50 plus minutes still to go. Ship nominal orbit, so it's on its way around the planet. It's going to attempt to do an in-space burn. We're going to light one of those Raptor engines, the sea level ones in the middle, just to help demonstrate that we can relight in that microgravity environment. Really critical for deorbit burns as we start to do some orbital missions in the not too distant future. And then following that, we'll see a ship entry maybe a splashdown. As you guys said, we're really going to be pushing ship on this one. We're pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we expect it might not do so great, and all that's to try and help us learn, see if we were a little too conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth, and hopefully we see it re-entering in the not-too-distant future. Back over to you guys.
Basically, what happened is there's what's called a commit criteria for the booster. After the boost back burn, if there's even remotely something on any of the sensors that the computers on board don't like, it's just going to divert into the ocean. Why? Why would you do this? Well, because if you try to do the landing and the computer sees something that it doesn't like, it crashes into the pad and blows up. We don't want that. SpaceX doesn't want to risk. We don't want that as spaceflight fans because that means less launches. SpaceX doesn't want that because they don't want their multi-billion-dollar launch pad getting destroyed. Make sense? So this one, unfortunately, did divert in the ocean. It did a soft landing. It looked right. The landing looked great. It's a shame. Hopefully we get some information in the future on why the commit criteria wasn't met for a catch. But that don't go anywhere. There's still plenty of tests left. We're going to basically see this thing get roasted on re-entry in about 30 minutes, give or take. I have it on. Snackless, yes.
Through re-entry with no communication blackout.
Right, okay.
Now we are still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, so nothing is completely certain.
Yeah, so if we do have views, we will be sure to bring those to you live. And of course, one of those views include that of our, as we said before, surprise payload, the Banana. And we are looking forward to it. So we're going to come back in a few minutes, around T plus 35 minutes.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for our coverage of Starship's re-entry,
it looks like some
maneuver,
super heavy
landing burn, and
out.
hopefully see a splashdown.
No problem, Nick. Pretty cool, though. I'm bumming they didn't do a catch, but it's okay. There will be other times. You can be dang sure that because that booster crashed so dang close to Boca Chica, SpaceX is probably going to send out the recovery vessel. They'll probably go get parts of it back. That's what they've been doing up until the booster that they caught. They sent out, they are contracting deep sea scuba divers to go and grab pieces of their boosters from the ocean. They're probably Booster 13 is probably no exception to this. I know, I can see it on NSF. It's definitely still floating. Part of it is still floating out there, which is nuts to me, dude. Yeah, Ned, I can see it. Yeah, you know. Thoughts on the launch? Noticed anything? I saw some outgassing at about 10 seconds into flight, Mutter, and it didn't look like ice coming off, so... Yeah, that seemed a little bit anomalous, but I don't know if it is because it's hard to say what is right and what isn't because SpaceX changes they change all the parameters every time. The booster pop, Pigeon. Yeah, this booster is no more. It has ceased to be. It looks like the engine section is somehow still floating, Riv, from what I can tell, but it's hard to say, dude. I don't want to jump to any conclusions. I'd have to get the mat to do that. Test shot Starfish is usually fair game, Medic. It was a flight termination system, size up, I'm pretty sure. Banana cam! Banana cam! Oh, come on, go back to that. No, I don't want to stand by. Go back to the banana. banana. Well, the ship ain't coming, Teddy. They're not gonna get the ship back. They're gonna land it, and then if it's still in one piece, they'll probably dispose of it once it gets near the surface. So we're getting that banana back. So guys, look, there's still gases moving around inside of the payload bay, which means it's relatively pressurized. It's probably leaking because you're seeing gas move around. But pretty cool, huh? There's still air inside of that thing. But like I said, that air is moving around, so it's leaking a little bit. Don't shake your banana in my face. What? What? You don't? What? Hand banana, no! Sorry, I won't do that again. The gas goes in the square hole, that's right. Nothing of the booster is left. Can I have banana bread, please? No, if I'm making banana bread, it's for me. I wonder why they don't have vents in the payload bay like the shuttle did. They clearly do, Bill, because the gas is moving around. There's a leak somewhere. Whether it's intentional or not, I don't know. In terms of why they haven't had like a fully fleshed out positive pressure venting system on Starship, probably too early in the design if I had to guess, dude. Should I be a bit upset about not seeing it, Kench? You're just gonna have to watch the next one. Just gonna have to watch Flight 7. But guys, we're not done here, man. Look at that. Ship 31's flying over the Terminator. So once again, part of the reason why they launched this thing late in the day is because Starship's gonna fly about halfway around the world. It's gonna do a landing attempt off the coast of Australia, like far enough away where you probably can't see it from the shore. And by probably, I mean you can't. But it's morning in Australia. It's morning in Western Australia. The sun's up, so you're gonna get a re-entry in the daytime, which is cool. If this thing actually makes it through, we'll be able to like see the ground when Starship flips over and lands, if it makes it that far. Hopefully it does. Gas could be moving because of the RCS. It could be momentum. That's right, Slimbo. That's a good point. Is it just me or is Starlink a bit more potato-y today? Looks all right to me, Just Space. The relight should be happening in about 10 to 15 minutes, David. What happened to the camera? It's dark. That's what happened to the camera. Look at the Terminator, dude. This is a live stream shot being streamed to your computer or electronic device from a spacecraft that's the size of a 15-story building in space, watching the sunrise. You know, I get it. 2024, it's been a rough couple of years, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man. We're watching a piece of fruit float around in space. That's pretty neat. Am I right? That's pretty good, man. That's pretty cool. It's a piece of fruit floating around in space. Okay. I saw it, Transit Biker. They did have some FOD come off. Yeah, there was some parts came off the vehicle. Too fast. We have come full circle from the wheel of cheese. Yep. But is it a real banana? I think they said it was the stuffed banana, guys. Can you tell us anything about that truss structure? Yeah, sure. Doug, that truss structure is SpaceX calls it the Pez dispenser. So what they're going to do is they're going to stack up the Starlink satellites in those kind of 4 rails that are on the side. And then there's basically a payload bay door on Starship that's about the size, like, it looks like a letter opener. Like, if you have a door that has a spot for the mail to come in, it basically looks and works something similar to that. And the first payloads that Starship will deploy are Starlink V2 satellites, right? And they just stack them in this Pez dispenser, and this Pez dispenser shoots them out the letterbox door. Another one comes down, shoots it out. Another one comes down, shoots it out. Another one comes down, shoots it out. See? So over there, check this out. See that? That's the letterbox door, right? There's your rails right there, and this is your dispenser. Erecting a dispenser. See? Starlink, this truss segment piece here will move down, right? And it'll push a Starlink satellite onto this dispenser piece right here. The letterbox will open and it'll zip it out. Yeah, that's what you're looking at here. Cool thing to look at, guys. They have a lot of COPVs. These are bottles over here. Those are, I'm not sure exactly what those for. I know those are for. I know what they do though. These composite overwrap pressure vessels are carrying pneumatic gases. They could be carrying CO2, could be carrying nitrogen, most likely nitrogen if I had to guess. But note that these are mounted basically on the bottom of the payload bay. So on this Starship, they're like right here, inside, right? Because the door, the payload bay door is right here, right? So we saw the payload bay door on one side, so you know that those COPVs are mounted low. That's most likely for stability when Starship is doing its belly flop. You want to keep the center of gravity low, because wherever the center of gravity is, whatever side it's biased to is the side that's going to fly first when you come, if you kind of come in ballistic and you're subject to physics. I saw it, RB. Yeah. The tower is damaged? I don't think the tower is damaged. They called nominal tower in Taris, but I don't know. The communications tower was damaged during ascent. That probably is what aborted it. Oh, yeah. No, that's broken. Yeah, the communications antenna on top of it, on top of the tower is busted. Here, guys, I can show you. So this is from our buddies over at NSF. Look at the bottom right frame. See that? Yeah, see that? That's not supposed to do that. Yeah, okay, that's fair. If we were gonna call abort criteria, yeah, the antenna, so the booster can figure out where the tower is, you probably need that, and it looks like it's broken. That is preliminary, I'm guessing. Everybody's guessing at this point. We'll wait on official word from SpaceX, but that very much seems like that's what's going on there. Oh, some little piece of ice floating around in the payload bay. Yeah, I saw it on the Sen launch. I can't restream the Sen launch. It'll get tagged. Trey, I can't restream the Sen stuff, guys. We'll get copy striked. Sorry. Can't do it. No puedo. How did ice get in there? It could be solid nitrogen, Graham, from outgassing from these tanks if there's an open vent inside. Sometimes it could be some of the atmosphere that Starship captured inside of its payload bay freezing on the way up. Yeah, that would be my guess. How do they plan to slow the ship on re-entry to Mars with a lower atmosphere than Earth? A shallower re-entry trajectory, Fuyu, would help with that. So basically, instead of like coming down at Mars' surface like this, you basically glide along the surface for a long period of time. That will reduce your overall peak heating, but lengthen your period of heating. And it'll also, because your duration of heating is a lot longer, you're making more drag. You slow down more. Doesn't take much to capture Mars, even though Mars has a little wimpy atmosphere. It doesn't take a lot. Yeah, Henris, yeah, it's all speculation until we hear something from SpaceX. But yeah, that would also do it. The hot staging ring separation looked okay to me, but they did call, they did call the deferred abort right after hot staging ring separation. So Scott could be right. I don't know. What is this music? It's Test Shot Starfish, if I'm understanding this right. That is a banana in the payload bay, Silversol. Yep. Tower probably fell after, but I'd have to look at NSF's footage, guys. Give me 1 second. Tower got bent during launch. Oh. So yeah, tower got bent during ascent. Yeah. Yeah, the tower got a little messed up. Yeah, tower got a little messed up. I'm looking at the banana. Give it to me. Give it the banana. Could be, Bren. The whole tower? No, not the whole tower. Look. So check out this from NSF. See this? The antenna on the very top of the tower? That shouldn't be like that. That should be pointed straight up. It's clearly not pointed straight up, but it might buff out. Who knows? They also said towers go for catch. Yeah. It may, I mean, it's still standing, so who knows? But I would be looking into why that did that. But we'll have to see. What a test today. Yes, Rob. Because the cameras are old, Ilona. Not these. Does the offshore divert mean that the FAA want to investigate it? No, probably not, Reaper. The FAA really only will come knocking on your door if you endanger public safety. A known divert pathway that was planned for the booster as a contingency is not endangering public safety. That's following the plan per your own flight rules. I don't think there will be a mishap investigation. I mean, but once again, we'll wait on the FAA. You know, I don't want to postulate too much. Yeah, that's your vocab word of the day. DEFCON, come on, don't do that in here, man, please. I'm just enjoying the view of a banana. Yeah, human. The most important question is whether they will recover the banana. I hope so, man. What do you think triggered it? I don't know, Bartsy. I'd have to go back and look at the footage, but I don't... as long as the mission is still going, Barts, I don't like going back and looking at other footage. The last time I did that during a Starship mission, it blew up and I missed it. I missed SN10, SN10inting itself. Because I was looking at replays. So I always sit here and leave it live until the end of the mission. It belongs in a museum. The booster is floating, but it's a little misshapen. Maybe. Let's see what the Burgonator is saying. I still have the stream up just in case anything happens. So that's this is footage from our buddies over at NSF. No, Graham, black smoke is not bad. It's just unburnt fuel. Okay, she tipped over. Yeah, that's not a thing anymore. This booster is no more. It has ceased to be. Give me 1 second. Let me get the banana back on the big screen. Think we'll have to wait until 2025 for the next one? Yeah, Galax most likely, but not a long time, dude. Not long. You don't have to worry about turning around the pad. There's no booster. You didn't get the booster, so yeah, I think the next one will go. We get... Check whisper. I have no idea how that's relevant, Bree, but yes, it's a nice whisper. Yeah, Wolfman, that's what I've been seeing. They might get pieces of it back, Yacht Plate, but some, you know, when the booster lands, it lands relatively intact. The problem is when it tips over. You know, when it tips over, it either ruptured a fuel tank or they blew it up on purpose. So either way, it exploded. So, I mean, it's not that far offshore. You might go get bits and pieces, dude. And SpaceX has done that. They did that with Booster 11 on Flight 4. I think we're going to get a view of the banana during re-entry. I hope so. They just have to retrieve it and put rice in it until it dries out. Heightmare, that's what they did with Booster 11. They pulled Booster 11 out of the water, at least the engine section, and then they took the engine, they took the rocket engines from Booster 11, a booster that soft landed in the ocean like that, and then spent like 3 months at the bottom of the ocean. They took the engines and sent them to McGregor, their engine testing site. And we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened with them from there, dude. The launch happened, thank you. Yeah, we're T plus 33 minutes and 20 seconds into flight here. The next things that we're coming up to is Starship doing its first ever attempt to fire its engines while up in space, and then re-entry. So that should be fun. There's also a banana floating around. That's their 0G indicator. A banana. They took one for 40 refires, Deadbringer. I can't. You know what? You know what? I just want to think that booster that they put on the engine that they put on that test stand was a Booster 11 booster. I just want to think that to make myself feel better. It's very unlikely that that's the case. But also, so you're saying there's a chance. It is floating around, yep. Any word on why the catch was diverted? Haven't heard anything of substance, Kenny. It's a lot of speculation. Beer on you. Thanks, Tech. Space Pope, thank you for the bits. I do appreciate it. We get the poster Mechazilla? Maybe. Yeah, I know, 95. Do you think they'll recover the banana? I want to believe Beige Guy, but I don't think so. SpaceX tweet. Tower was a go. Booster had a fault of some kind from what you heard. Yeah. Yeah, Medic. I would say, even though the tower has a bent antenna, it's more likely something than what weirdo with the booster.
Today's flight test, continuing to get some live views from Starship itself as it continues to make its way around the globe. We are coming up on what we will hopefully see is our in-space relight demonstration. This will be firing up one of those 3 sea-level Raptors on the very aft end of the ship, and essentially reigniting it while we're in that
There you go.
microgravity
Did you see it?
environment in Earth.
Look at the
orbit.
lightning. That's a
We had
thunderstorm
attempted
down
this
on the
once
surface. Look, look, look.
previously on
Oh, that's
but
so
ended up
cool.
skipping it when we had some attitude control issues with the ship. And we are on the dark side of the planet right now, so
Wait.
views are going to be a little bit dark.
Hold on.
Skipping it when we had some attitude control issues. Firing up one of those 3 sea level Raptors on the very aft end of the ship and essentially reigniting it while we're in that microgravity environment in Earth orbit. We had attempted this once previously on Flight 3, but ended up skipping it when we had some attitude control issues with the ship.
Yeah, okay. He was talking about a previous flight.
We're
Okay.
on a intentional suborbital trajectory. So no matter what, we're coming in over the
What time
Indian
should it
Ocean.
land?
The
Javi,
engine does change your exact splashdown
10 minutes?
point a little bit, but we've got this keep out zone across the entire Indian Ocean that we made sure was clear ahead of flight.
That's the rains
And we
down
continue
in
to monitor
Africa.
during, but we're going to aim for that and hopefully see this relay test coming on in about a minute. It's just going to be one of these engines, and it uses what's called the header tank, so these small spherical tanks.
What is the
In the
glowing?
very top of
Thruster
Starship, up in
firings,
the nose
guys.
cone. They don't require nearly as much gas.
Well,
to
did you see the rains
pressurize
down in
as your main
Africa?
tanks, so they're really useful for any in-orbit maneuvers, and then for landing burn. So if we make it to a landing burn today, we'll be using them for that as well. So we should be coming up in just about the next minute. Should be under a minute now away from that expected ship burn. And again, we've relit Raptors pretty frequently. We just did it with the landing burn and that boost back burn on the booster, and we've done it on ship landing burns. We just haven't done it in this
Usada Apollo.
microgravity environment where your propellant management and a lot of other things are different as you're not weighed
Relay,
down
then
by
we'll
the
start
force
up.
of Earth's gravity.
Okay, here we go. We got a good ignition. Velocity's changing. Telemetry is updating.
And
Just
shut
heard the
down.
call out for startup.
Yes!
There's some light.
Excellent.
There's that Raptor relit.
Solid
and
oxygen.
Shut down.
Have they
All
relit
right,
yet?
there you
I
have
think
it,
so,
the
Hokey.
first time ever lighting a Raptor while in outer space, other than our ascent burn. So really cool to see that relit. That's a pretty.
That's a big deal,
capability that
guys.
we're gonna
That's
need,
huge.
when we're doing orbital missions in the not too distant future. So check another one off. That was a really cool. That was an objective we really wanted to hit on this one, and so good to see ship knock that one out in orbit. But for now, we're going to coast for just a little bit longer, and then it'll be time for ship entry. So we'll get the usual light show as we return
Flaps are
from
moving into position.
hypersonic velocities.
For entry interface.
We're just starting to do the entry prep for that, so we're going to get the flaps positioned, and then it's going to start taking the brunt of all of that heat as you're coming in from well in excess of 10,000 miles an hour. That's all going to build up a lot of heat as you're encountering an increasing atmosphere, building up that friction. And we're going to see how the
Yeah,
tiles
spaghetti.
fare. We've
We don't
also
talk
got
about that here. Stick
some
to
pretty
space.
cool
Talk
tile
about space in
experiments
here
that we'll
for me,
talk
brother,
about in a
if you
little bit. But coming up real soon, ship re-entry, successful relight, and we'll start this entry part soon.
Guys, see lights down there. See, those are cities over there, guys. It's hard to see from this camera, but yeah, see, cities. Just make sure we're live. Okay, looks like we're getting sunrise here in a second. So, if I'm looking at the timing, they're probably flying over Madagascar right now. It's close, Everest, yeah. Maybe. You're not gonna get plasma just yet, Dean, no. So the vehicle is still accelerating. We should be coming up on entry interface here soon in a second. But don't get me wrong, just because the vehicle's accelerating doesn't mean you haven't hit entry interface. We'll wait for the call. Nice weather guy. That's cool. I mean, it looks, yeah, maybe it is, dudes. It's plasma, guys. Yep, nope, that's definitely plasma. We're past EI. I was a little bit wrong on the timeline there. No, interesting, Trey. So, guys, you know, they said that, yeah, SpaceX is saying that you have interface at 47 minutes. That's what I was going off flight 5, right? But we're already seeing plasma here. But that also could be kind of a little bit of an optical illusion. The boost, the ship could be outgassing, and the gases, I'm going to sound like Will Smith from Men in Black here. The gases could be illuminated from the sunlight. But I don't know, that looks pretty bright to me. Yes, TJ. Camera ISO is probably high. Yeah, that's probably why these cameras look all foggy. I know, that's a good point. It's going to be more aggressive after re-entry through the landing. Yeah, Mutter, that's why I thought it might be, you know, just the sunlight, but I mean, you're definitely getting some plasma propagation down here. Guys, I'm going to move back over there. Move back over here so you guys can see it. The landing will be in the daytime, Dennis. Yep, just at dawn. No, Stone, not at all. I have no idea what that...
100 kilometers altitude, good attitude for atmospheric entry.
I have no idea what that means, RB. Okay, starting to see, yep, we're starting to see some, we're starting to see a bow shock here. Please don't block the ship attitude. No. I go over here and then people say don't block the ship issue, so. Look at the vent line. See all the solid oxygen on the vent line? Look at that, baby. Pretty cool. Thanks, Civex. Nah, I'm good. I'm good right here. I like this spot. This is a good spot, especially with these camera angles. We got multi-views from SpaceX, which is really cool. It did, Super. It worked. Yep, she's starting to decelerate. something like that, RB. I already did, Orion, but we can probably watch it
Welcome
again.
back to Starship's 6th test flight.
Okay, here we go.
It has been an exciting day so far. We lifted off from Starbase at 4 p.m. Central Time. The Super Heavy booster and ship had a successful separation, as well as a good boost back burn and good separation of the hot stage
Only at the
adapter.
end of
We
of
did not
landing,
attempt a
guys.
return to the launch site and catch attempt today when strict criteria were not met, and the Super Heavy booster executed a planned divert to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, obviously, we were hoping to come back to the tower, but
Thanks, Tech.
this was a test, and we knew
Appreciate
that
it, buddy.
it was a very viable possibility.
Starship is at 85 kilometers. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
Okay.
All right, great news there. Turning our attention over to
This part of entry,
star
guys, is
of
the same as
show
5,
here,
so we'll
giving
see
us
what
those
happens.
Amazing views once again. We heard the call out.
What we really want to look for, okay? So for the uninitiated, when it comes to hypersonic flows and reentry and stuff, all right, what you really are looking to not get is sparks. You don't want sparks coming off the vehicle. That means you're getting you're getting some ablation. Ablation means something is burning off the vehicle. Now, I don't know, for the uninitiated, just in case you didn't know, you do not want that to happen with your vehicle that someday, not this flight, but someday you're planning on reusing. You do not want ablation here. So you want to see nice, smooth plasma flow, just like that. And that's exactly what you're looking at here. That is smooth plasma flow. You want this. You don't want sparks. You start seeing sparks, that's not ideal. Keep in mind, you might see a little bit here and there. We don't want a lot of sparks. We don't want it to look like a fireworks show here, because that means the vehicle's breaking up. That's not good.
We can see that starting to happen on our screen, and this creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so it's not
Look at that.
uncommon
Look at the
to
flow.
experience
Oh.
brief blackouts in communication.
Oh. So what you're seeing there with smoke coming off there is the thrusters, the attitude control thrusters on
Starship is
Starship.
approaching the peak heating phase of entry.
Okay, see the thrusters firing?
And we just heard we're getting into the peak heating phase. We're getting these views courtesy
See,
of
those are the
Starlink.
thruster
We've got
firings right
4
there.
Different terminals on the ship itself. It's what's
Potentially
really allowed us to
banded,
get
yes.
real-time data during what's otherwise been just a mystery box, essentially, for spacecraft design, where when you're re-entering through the atmosphere, at least getting anything in real time hasn't ever been possible before. But we're able to not just get these views, but real-time telemetry
Nice
from
and
the
smooth,
ship as
man.
it's coming
Nice
through.
and smooth.
Do really want to stress that we are really pushing the ship today. The heat shield is not in the same configuration as it was last flight, where
Right, just
we
space.
had a team of ship techs do just an otherworldly task, replacing the entire heat shield, thousands of tiles, installing a backup ablative, and that pretty much set us up to do a pinpoint landing on Flight 5. We did not.
It's
do
solid
that with
oxygen
this
off
one.
of a vent line
We have
laid off.
some backup in those really
This
sensitive
stuff right there,
areas around the flap.
solid oxygen.
But this is an older
This is a
generation
old
heat
vent
shield.
line.
And knowing we weren't going to do that, we even went and removed some extra tiles. There are some missing tiles on the nose cone where we're testing some backups. There are some steel
Yeah, a little bit of ablation
tiles
going on there,
in a
but it's
couple of different
okay.
spots. And there's also a whole lot more steel of the ship showing.
What you really want to look for, they usually, SpaceX on the past 3 Starship flights has had some real, well, past 2 Starship flights have had some real problems at the forward flaps. Basically the armpit of those forward flaps up at the front of the vehicle. When they go back to that multi-view, something is ablating off. When they go back to that multi-view, watch the armpit of the flaps, like right at the edge.
From Starship in order to basically present that necessary receding line, which you kind of can see there in
Yeah,
your
getting
view.
a little bit of ablation
Think
there.
back to
Something's
previous flights,
burning off.
The heat
Yeah, you want to
shield
watch
line
right
came
down
up
here.
further on the vehicle, and just like Dan said, we want to test the vehicle beyond what we think it is capable of carrying
seems
based on
all right.
our simulations and calculations. So once again, to just be super plain. Don't be surprised if we see some wackadoodle stuff happen here.
Wackadoodle?
We won't be. There are a number of things that we are testing out intentionally to see what the ship can take.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what those limits are will really help us design the vehicle of the future.
Yeah, see the
Essentially,
sparks up
removing
there
those
that
tiles
you
helps
really
us
don't
remove
want
a lot
that,
of weight
but
from the vehicle, a lot of things that might potentially need refurbishment in the future. And the goal is to come up with a heat shield pattern or design that we don't have to refurbish. We can just continue to use it over
something's
and over again.
ablating.
And that's
Starboard,
why we're
starboard
changing
bow
some of those tiles
side.
and moving stuff around.
Port side looks
moving
okay.
a lot of those tiles.
This camera's
as
on
Kate has
one of
been
the front
mentioning.
fins.
Exactly.
This camera's on
And,
this fin,
you know,
looking
forward
backwards.
to the Starship capability of the future. We want to be able to catch Starship like we do with boosters, and so the next flight.
I'm not
we want
liking
to
this.
Better
See
understand
the
where
sparks?
we can install catch
Not liking
hardware,
that. Something's
not
burning
necessarily to
off.
actually do the
So
catch,
that's
but to see how
you know,
that
it's
hardware
probably
holds
not
up
good.
in those spots. And today.
Now, keep in mind, this is an older design for SpaceX's thermal protection system. They've already optimized and fixed a lot of the problems with the newer version of the ship. This is the last of the older versions of the ship. So, yeah, that problem might already be solved. But also, yeah, something is burning on the bottom of the vehicle. So, probably smells terrific.
Doing to try and, you know, make all the ships that were about to start flying even better, just really understand what their
It's too consistent to be the backup of Blade or Aqualux.
We've got kind of the next gen ship lined up for flight.
Yeah,
7.
exactly,
It's got
passing. Yeah,
all
yeah.
of those heat shield upgrades and everything.
Don't worry. She'll
And
hold
one of
together.
the things that we're going to be doing that's,
Hear me,
that's
baby,
most
hold together.
interesting, and one of the reasons we wanted daylight is we're going to be flying pretty aggressively as ship comes in. We're going to be kind of nose down, and we've done it in wind tunnels.
Looks
we've
like
done
we're
it in
getting some daylight.
simulations. You might see the flaps really flapping around, trying to control the vehicle. We're betting we might have a little bit more capability.
Never tell me the
than
odds.
we think in just the analysis, but always a chance that bet doesn't pay off. But that just helps us know, like, what are our
Starship
limits.
is now halfway through the peak heating phase of entry.
Okay.
Halfway there, halfway home, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys again can follow
Some
along with
ablation
the
off the leading
altitude
edge of
and
that
the
aft
speed
flap.
of
See it
ship
right there?
as
See
it's
stuff's
making its
burning
way
off.
back down to Earth, bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
This is gonna get a little
speed
sketchy.
Is still going
Gonna
really,
get a little
really
sketchy,
fast.
man.
Again, as it gets closer to Earth, we'll see that altitude drop.
Those are
a
the
little bit
thrusters
faster.
firing?
It's kind of dropping pretty slow right now. And again,
It
as we
pushes
get
the
closer
thruster
and
gassing
closer
immediately into
to
the low pressure areas,
literally
which
the surface
what gives you that
of
weird
the
flow.
water, then we'll start to see that speed pick up. And if we can make it through this re-entry,
Yes,
we will
serious.
attempt to do that flip maneuver once again and splash down in the ocean.
Exactly.
Not
Like we've
seeing
been
any burn
saying,
through there
we
on
are
the
testing
control surfaces,
beyond
though.
the perceived limits of the vehicle. We want to go learn more about the ship, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So really pushing the flight hardware in a flight environment to help inform these future designs. As
Plasma
we've
cutter go
mentioned, it
burr.
has a different heat shield. This heat shield is not the same generation as what we flew last time. This one is one generation older. So
Hold together, baby.
we are also testing out new secondary thermal protection materials. So basically, like, if the heat shield isn't in this one spot, can this other material protect the metal is the thinking there. Also checking of the
Yeah, I
ship's
see it,
structural
Aqualux,
strength
right
in
here,
those
huh?
areas where we're looking to add that ship catch hardware just to see if it survives entry.
Yeah, the steel might.
Yeah,
the
as we've
steel
been
might
saying,
be.
we've done a lot of calculations and simulations. This view right here is super cool. This is looking out from the aft engine bay, basically at the bottom of Starship.
Like that.
Then on the center left-hand panel, if you will, we have one of
Look,
the
look.
forward Starship
Daytime
flaps.
starting, dudes.
Flaps
You can
are
see
one
the
of
clouds
flaps
down there.
at the top of the vehicle. Underneath that is one of the aft end flaps.
I see it,
the one
medic.
that
I
we're
see
seeing in the
it.
main
She's
picture
not
there on
happy.
the right-hand side
Come
of
on,
the
ship
screen.
31, make it
Now,
through.
these views as the vehicle
Hold-
continues to
hold
enter
bananas.
this atmosphere,
Diamond hand
drawing a
bananas.
crowd once again here at SpaceX and Hawthorne as folks tune in as the mission continues on.
Oh, it's getting
Now,
spicy.
the next event
Something
that we have
on the
coming up,
front of this thing's getting real spicy.
We should hear the call out that the vehicle is transonic around T plus 1
Diamond
hour
hand
and 2 minutes
bananas.
or so. that means that the vehicle is traveling near the speed of sound. We say near the speed of sound because there are certain parts of the vehicle where airflow is going faster and other parts where it's going slower. So it kind of teeters there on the brink of the speed of sound.
There's
so,
a lot of pieces coming off. There's a
once
lot of this
people
boost is
flow
burning
on all
off here,
parts,
guys.
Then we'll hear it's subsonic.
Yeah, and
Oh, and almost real quick, almost a reverse of. I'm sorry, Jesse. Almost a reverse of before. We see the Earth starting to come into view. We've got sunrise there, over the Indian Ocean. So this is going to look different from any of the re-entries we've had before, and it was specifically so like we get as much daylight as possible to see how ship does this.
So bled off about a third of orbital velocity. We still got 18,000 kilometers to go.
That's exactly what I was going to point out, is that we're getting a lot clearer view of the Earth in the background with the different temperatures
this is
that
awesome.
we're seeing, with the different colors of that plasma around the ship, which is really, really cool to see. Again, we are pushing the limits of ship today, but so far everything is looking pretty nominal. We'll see how the next few minutes goes.
Yeah, like we've said before, don't be surprised if this is not entirely smooth sailing all the way down to the ocean's surface. Similar to Flight 5, we are targeting the same splashdown location in the Indian Ocean, but we are not expecting to recover the vehicle.
Right, and we were getting some glimpses of the flaps. The flaps
It's giving
so
me so
far
much anxiety
are
right
looking
now,
pretty good.
dude.
We're not seeing
But-
any burn through.
Yeah.
There's those flaps again.
No burn
in
through.
that hinge area,
Something
which
is
almost
burning
the
off
same
though.
area
It's not the
that's
flaps.
great news for us for
so-
now. Again, the next few minutes could change as we continuously push those limits.
Something's
Once
something's
slow
burning, and it
down
ain't the
a little
flaps.
bit
So
for
I hope
subsonic,
it's not
essentially,
something
so I think
important.
It's about 1,200 kilometers an hour. Once we're down below that, that's when we're gonna.
Dude, look at this
dip our nose
shot.
down and get that
So
more
good.
aggressive angle of attack. Normally, we're just belly
Yes.
flop right into the
Yes,
water,
it's
pretty much
getting
that
a little
position.
warm.
But if we're going to be able to do return to launch sites, we're going to want to be able to fly with a little bit more of an angle of attack, get you a little bit more range as you're coming through. And so this'll be just a test to see
Good ones,
how
Dean.
far can we push it. And obviously we're going to do these kind of tests way out here in super remote areas before you ever try to bring a ship back to a place like Starbase.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory. External temperatures are coming down.
All right, great news there. That tells us that we
You're not
are
out of the woods
through
yet,
the
but that's
phase
good
of
news.
peak heating.
That's good
So
news,
we are
man.
expecting
Come on,
the,
hold together, 31.
these temperatures to
Diamond
continue
hand
to come
bananas.
down. Once again, we are targeting a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean, around off the northwest coast of Australia. We can see these beautiful views of planet Earth coming in. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is very different. Where
yeah, it's a
we
little-
had nighttime views of the ship as it was re-entering, and now we've got daylight. It is about an hour or so after sunrise. there in the Indian
It's getting a little
Ocean. So
spicy right
pretty
there.
Cool to see
See
this.
it?
Yeah, and it might not seem like it makes a huge difference, but we do
uh-oh.
get a little bit more light on ship as well for the camera
Oh,
views that
no.
we have, which is very beneficial for us to visually
Stay together.
see anything and try and correlate that to any of the sensors or data that we have on the vehicle.
Exactly.
Give it
is
a roll.
why
She's
we
got Captain.
shifted our
She can't
launch
take much
window
more
so
of
that
this.
We could have that daylight in order to improve
stay
our
together.
observations of the vehicle. So not only are we getting all the raw data from all the sensors that are on board Starship, but we also have multiple cameras and assets out there that are watching the vehicle and will also be able to tell us with this visual story that is also very, very important.
And
I
as
see it,
we
Phil.
get down a little bit lower, the Raptor engines are in their chill phase right now, so just essentially getting them primed
Okay,
to
we bled
turn
off
on.
2/3
We
orbital
can use
velocity.
those three center engines.
All she's
to
got to
do
do
a
is just
landing
survive the
flip
dynamic
and the
pressure
landing
now.
burn.
Most
So
of the re-entry
we'll come
heating
down
is gone.
kind of and then slowly point
Something's
it
still
down,
burning
belly
off
flop,
down
and then
there.
Fire off those
Dude,
engines
look at how
to flip us
scorched it
around
is.
And then do that final landing burn. That should be coming up in just under 5 minutes from now. And then
I see
hopefully
it.
you
I
start
see it,
hearing
Blue player. I
some-
see it.
Some call outs on transonic and subsonic.
Come on,
as we
baby.
slow
Hold
down.
together.
Again,
Don't worry.
Once you
She'll
hear
hold
Starship
together.
is subsonic,
Hear me, baby. Hold
keep a
together.
close eye on the flaps. They're going to be working overtime essentially to maintain control of the ship as we get a little more aggressive with this.
Almost there. Oh!
We can see that the
Starship has passed maximum entry dynamic pressure.
It's on fire. That's not
All right, great call out there. But we can see on this view here that we do have some heating there.
That's
That
some.
looks like one of the forward flaps on Starship. This is to be expected. We knew that the vehicle would perform differently than what we had seen on Flight 5.
But she made it, dude.
This
That
is
thing's
actually really
remarkably
good data
intact.
because it tells us what parts of the vehicle at this, what will soon
All right.
be a higher angle of attack.
All
once
right,
we
she's
drop
gonna
down,
make. She's gonna make it
below
unless
the
she's,
speed of
dude.
sound.
Because
We'll
this
have a higher
stainless
angle
is
of
all
attack,
heat
meaning
got
we're
all
gonna be
heated up.
flying
It might be
nose down,
brittle. It might go to do the flip and
So
burn
yeah,
and
this
just
is good news. We
explode.
can actually, looks
Let's
like
hope
that
we're
heating
not out of the
is
woods
starting to
yet.
cool off there.
Yeah, it's a little burn through. Again,
It's quite
it is
the
important
observation.
to note when we start seeing that through the ship's descent as well. So, like Kate was saying, we're getting some really good data here. It looks like the
When
other
nose down.
flaps
Should
are doing
be
a little
happening
better than the one that
pretty
has
soon
a
here,
little
Mutter.
burn through, which is some good news. Again, constantly watching. We've got a couple minutes until we're expecting to make it all the way back down to Earth.
Exactly. And like we said before, we are not expecting to recover
Testing
the ship.
purposes,
although
Kalani. I don't know the
that would
exact
be great.
reason why they're on the
There'd be
leeward
a nice
side.
bonus if it happened, but it's not
Yes,
really in
hired.
our expectations
Or I'm doing
today.
it on my phone.
We really want to
just doing
push
it
the
so you
hardware
guys
as
can't
we've
see
been
it.
saying. But really, the telemetry and the data and the video.
It's
that we
remote this time,
receive
but
all the
I
way
do
to
tweet
the
and
end
stream at the
is
same
Truly
time.
what we're
I
looking
try to keep
for,
it on
and
a
will
down
help
low.
inform the future designs of this vehicle.
Okay.
You
Guys,
can see some flap movement
we're through
as
the heating
camera
here.
is
She's
moving
gonna go
around.
subsonic here in a
That's what
moment.
you're seeing there is the flaps adjusting. We have a camera
Oh,
on
this
one
is
of the
so
flaps there
cool.
this is the view
So
that
that
you're
vent
seeing
over there is from them thermally conditioning the Raptors. They got to prime them and get them ready to fire.
And
Get
you
them
can
ready to
also
fire
see the
again for the
graphic in
landing burn.
bottom,
Starship is slowing down past Mach 1.
See, subsonic.
and call outs aligning with this. You can see the orientation.
Come on, hold
of the
together,
vehicle
baby.
Starting to change. You can follow that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Again, that is
What
why
a
those flaps
shot.
are
Look
changing
at
to
this.
control the
All
orientation
right.
of the vehicle.
So watch, they're gonna dip the nose
There are
down.
four-
This is.
Go ahead, Dan.
Starship has started the subsonic belly flop, remains on a good trajectory.
I was gonna say,
Watch,
this is,
they're gonna
this
dip.
is when things will start to get a little interesting. So this is when we're moving slower than the speed of sound. You can see that nose slowly start to tip down, and we're gonna try and maintain flap control the whole way. But we are just a couple minutes away from hopefully doing a landing flip.
Oh, this is
Landing flip
sketchy.
and landing
This
burn
is
if-
sketchy.
if,
This is
the
sketchy.
flaps can
The
hold together.
vehicle, it's gonna get
Now,
very
this is such a cool
aerodynamically
view.
unstable with the
This
nose like that.
reminds
Like
me,
that. Oh, please, please stay
of
together.
when
Please
we
stay
first
together.
performed
Ah!
the belly flop maneuver on the high altitude
Stop.
test with serial number 8.
This is nuts.
We saw the ship come back.
Did you see
through,
it? Did
and I
you see
always
the nose
wondered
come
what
back
it looked
up?
like from the ship's perspective.
Oh,
And this perspective, I think, helps inform that.
That was
We will
close
be-
to-
as
that was
Dan said,
close
we
to
will be
breaking.
dipping down a little further and really be flying nose first. This higher angle of attack, we're intentionally doing it to stress those aft flaps, and that will help inform the limits of flap control in order to collect data for future landing profiles.
they're gonna dip the nose again.
I mean, we're looking good so far. We've just got about 5 kilometers in altitude to go. We'll ignite the engines when we're still just a couple hundred meters over the ground. Do that flip
Starship is
and
passing
landing
through
burn.
5 kilometers altitude, remains on a good trajectory.
Everything's looking
I have a
good.
feeling this is going to look so cool as it passes through the clouds.
Obligatory shout out to the
2
entire
miles.
avionics team on Starship.
Oh! Oh God! Oh God!
And there's
Stay
that
together.
nose down orientation.
Stay together! Stay together, baby! One
Now,
mile.
The Raptor engines will relight and help flip the booster back up. This is a more severe flip given the orientation. The engines will shut down prior
1,000
to
meters.
the water making impact, prior to the vehicle making
Look at
impact
this
with
thing
the water.
control. This is
Our
awesome.
ship is doing great so far.
Engine relight.
There's those engines relighting.
What a great reorientation by Starship.
Dude!
All 3 down.
Oh, that's sick! She's alive! She's alive! Yes!
Awesome.
Yes!
Cam
Awesome!
Action here. Daylight views.
Dude! Peace! It's a little on fire, but it's in one
We
piece.
pushed limits on ship and it made it all the way back down to Earth.
I am shocked, to be honest.
It made
I
it.
think
Oh, I
most
love
folks
this
are.
thing.
The fact that it survived all the way through
So good.
while flying a lesser gen heat shield is just absolutely incredible. And turns out the vehicle had more capability than our calculations predicted. And that is why we test like a
Tank
fly.
the heat.
Exactly why we do that, and those views
Right
were
as hell, it just
absolutely
tanked it. It
incredible
was like,
to
yeah,
watch.
alright, whatever.
Because of Starlink, we were able to get the views all the way down, as well as the buoys.
I think the stainless steel
ship
buckled when
touchdown
it hit
in
the water,
daylight.
though.
So
I think
cool,
it cracked.
so cool.
It cracked like an egg.
We want to,
Oh my goodness.
unfortunately, wrap up the show.
Yeah, exactly. We'll say congratulations
Diamond
to our
hand
teammates
bananas.
at SpaceX and to everyone who supported the Starship program. And thank you to all of our future customers for your support.
We'd also like to thank the people of Cameron County, Texas, as well as the Coast Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Government of Mexico, and the Australian Space Agency.
What's that thing behind them?
Now,
It's a fairing.
be sure to
The fairing is from the front. What's going on here? Hello? Jesse?
Hey guys, I could take it from here. That was just incredible to see that splashdown. As you said, thanks to everybody that took such a huge part in this. Everybody here at Starbase that's worked on this program, just really pouring your lives into it. Great to see
course they
another
are, Jay.
booster lift off. We'll catch it the next time. Great to see ship in the water. New version of ship coming soon, so a lot more exciting launches coming up real soon here from Starbase. But I'll send us out this time. We'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Be sure to follow SpaceX on X for updates and more exciting views that we weren't able to feature on today's broadcast.
I'm sure there will be plenty of those. Now, thanks to all of you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
What the heck, man? Dude, it came down in one piece. How did that even happen, man? Dude, how did this thing stay together? They stripped all the tiles off. I can't believe that. Dude, that made up for the booster not being caught. Oh my goodness. That thing came down and it was next to the buoy cam again, which means it was a precise landing. Dude. Oh my goodness, that is so freaking cool. Yeah, they could catch that thing. They could catch that. Absolutely. You could see the buoy. Yeah. What? Dude, it's there. It's right next to it. Yeah, it buckled. When it fell over, the heated up stainless steel, it buckled it. The nose is in the ground, but the engine section and the fuel tanks look okay. Wow. Unbelievable. It didn't blow up. No, it didn't pop like the last one, but it is not in that thing is not in one piece. How sick is the metal going to look on these after multiple re-entries? It is going to look pretty cool. It'll look like anodized, man. It'll look awesome. The front fell off. Yeah, the front fell off. It's been removed from the environment. Yeah, will do, Ando. Wow. How's that, man? It's pretty good. Flight 7 shouldn't be too far off, guys. I don't think it's going to be this year. I don't think it's going to be this year, but it's going to be soon. Sooner rather than later. What sort of standards are these ships built to? Really rigorous standards. No, it never gets. Yeah, the front fell off. The front's supposed to come off. Well, obviously not. Then why did this one come off? Well, this one was a very special, very isolated case. SpaceX hinted at March of 2025. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit. They have to retool a couple things because that was the last version 1 Starship, guys. The next one, they showed it on the stream. The next one is going to be it has a lot of modification, so it might be a little bit, but yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. That was a real good time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching it with me. I do appreciate it. And if you've been here since I started the NSF stream at 5 this morning, yeah, that was like 13 hours ago. I haven't slept since before well, let me rephrase that. I haven't had any meaningful sleep since the start of yesterday's stream. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go eat, and I'm going to bed. And I will see you guys tomorrow, where we'll review all this footage and have a nice long space news gushing over this footage like the fanboys that we are. You know what? I don't care. I don't care. This is cool, and I'm super happy that you guys give me your time and come in here and watch it with me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Rocket guy raid? Okay, let me see. So, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody on the YouTube side of things. I appreciate you guys. We're gonna look at all the footage tomorrow, guys. Same time, same place for space news. That rhymed inadvertently. That's how you know when I got bars. That's how you know I'm tired. Like, yeah. We should stop. So, my buddy Rocket Guy, if you're interested in rockets, my buddy Rocket Guy is streaming right now. He's an actual rocket scientist. He's playing Kerbal Space Program. Let's go see what Rocket Guy is up to. On the YouTube side of things, I don't know. Go see what NSF is up to. Let's go. We'll raid Rocket Guy on the Twitch side of things, but this is going to do it for our broadcast day. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good rest of your day.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Why are you doing this? He's in with the 10 subs. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody. Go raid Rocket Guy.